Political commentator Navid Nasr joins us now from Zagreb. Mr. Nasr, welcome to the program. First of all, give us your thoughts on this report indicating that Boris Johnson, pushed for a continued weapons sales to the Saudis even after that deadly attack on a Yemeni funeral.
Good to be here with you on Press TV. I guess I could make this personal and elaborate on what makes Boris Johnson who he is as a human being, but the fact is it's not a personal thing. It's not just about Boris Johnson and his personal shortcomings. It's a systemic thing. Saudi Arabia has been buttressed and defended and armed and enabled and empowered consistently over the years since, obviously, the discovery of oil underneath its sands, and also since they became a beachhead, a fountainhead for U.S. and Israeli policy throughout the region. So it doesn't matter what the Saudis do, how many people they kill in Yemen, how many people they killed in Bahrain yesterday, how many people they killed in Qatif the other day, or who they're empowering and killing, not directly but indirectly, in Syria or in Iraq or in Egypt or in Libya. None of those things matter, because ultimately those things serve the agenda of the U.S. and the NATO powers and the U.K. And, you know, the U.K. more so earlier, at least for a longer period of time than some of these other countries. They've had their hands dirty, really deep in what's been going on in Saudi Arabia for a long time, at least as far back as, you know, Lawrence of Arabia. So this is not a new position for the UK to be in, and you know, the Saudis are going to remain in power for as long as they're of any use to the UK, the US, and these NATO powers.
Mr. Nasr, $5 billion worth of arms sales to the Saudi regime since the war on Yemen started. That's $5 billion over the past 2 years. Is that the driving force behind the continued arms sales and support? Is it the numbers, or is it past that? Is it the fact that the Saudis are advancing and pursuing the UK and the US's interests in the region?
It's both, and it's always been both. It's always this kind of symbiotic relationship between the profits for the arms manufacturers and arms makers, which filters down to the government, and there's you know, all sorts of incestuous relationships between people in government and these industries. And it's also the fact that what Saudi Arabia is doing in Yemen is advancing U.S., U.K., and NATO interests. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And it's the reason why we don't see anywhere near the amount of crocodile tears and human rights atrocity stories coming out of Yemen that we see coming out of Syria, because that narrative, the human rights and the children, and look at the children and all this stuff, serves their agenda in Syria and detracts from their agenda in Yemen. In Yemen, what serves their agenda is making that war as bloodless and antiseptic as possible. In Syria, the exact opposite. So that's what we're seeing, and it's both. It's not just one or the other that you mentioned.
Thank you very much, sir. Political commentator Navid Nasr joining us from Zagreb.